Hello everyone, today we're going to be setting up a self-hosted Mastodon server. This is a Ruby on Rails application. You can see in the source code here, we've got a whole bunch of stuff, controllers, models, views, all that good stuff you normally see in a Rails app, and this is what's powering Mastodon. Now this is a decentralized application, but you don't have to run away thinking this is going to be some kind of crypto Web3 nonsense. Effectively, all this means is you have a set of servers that you would follow as opposed to like following a user. So it's still going to function similarly, but you're going to connect to different like server networks, and that's going to allow you to effectively pick your Discord servers that you want to see posts from, if you want to think of it that way. Really nice to use, really convenient to set up, and it's just a really good way to start up your own Twitter-like service where you can do your own moderation for whatever your server is, and then you can add trusted endpoints as you see fit. Mastodon itself, open source, you love to see it. It's also Rails, which means you'll probably know how to configure it. If you need to, for example, come in and change a route, you can come into config and routes.rb. And in here, you can see they have a whole bunch of routes. You can see they're authenticating the user for Sidekick and PG Hero. We've seen that before. They're using Doorkeeper, which is great. We've covered that before. They're using Devise, so you can see all of the Devise routes, and you get the idea. So really good tool to use if you need something like this use case. You want to start up your own little social media network for whatever reasons. We're going to be using DigitalOcean for this because their one-click deploy is incredibly convenient. It'll set most of this up for you. Between the DigitalOcean server, which is $12 a month, and the DigitalOcean Spaces, which is $5 a month, which we're using for the active storage image uploads and video uploads, it's going to be $17 a month. Now I have a affiliate code somewhere on this website, which should give you 2 months $100 credit, which means for 2 months you can test this setup out, see if you like it, and then afterwards, if you spend $25 with them at any point in the future, they give me $25 towards my own hosting. Just have to be clear about that so no one in the government comes for me, but personally, I think it's just a good way to test out if your pet project is something you want to pursue or not, and then usually within a month or two, you figure that out. But okay, let's go ahead and let's get started with this. To get started, we're going to come up here to create, go down to droplets, and the affiliate code should be in the video description. I don't know if I said that. We'll come down here to the marketplace. We will select, or we'll search for Mastodon. Click on Mastodon. So that works there. We're going to scroll down here, go to regular, because this premium has a $14 a month, but regular has a $12 a month. And then we can come here and select an SSH key. Now that we have an SSH key selected, we can name this. We'll call this Mastodon. And then we'll go ahead and we'll click create droplet. That'll start creating the droplet. While that's working, let's come over to spaces because we need to create a space. I'm going to go ahead and delete this other one because I don't need this anymore. And instead, we will just create a new space so you can see how this works. You come up here, create spaces. We'll just call this, choose a unique name. We'll call this Mastodon, hopefully. I guess it doesn't work. Mastodon, I guess we'll call it Mastodon-Rails, maybe. There we go, that works. And now let's create spaces bucket. Go ahead and click create bucket. That'll give us something where we can store our files. Now we have to come over to API, and in the API section, we're gonna have a spaces keys. We're gonna go ahead and delete this key, and then we'll generate a new key. You can click generate new key. We'll name this Mastodon-Rails. Click the check mark. Now don't leave this page. As soon as you generate this key, it will show you your secret. If you ever refresh this page or leave it, you can no longer see the secret key, and then you'll have to generate a new key again. For right now, I'm just going to leave this open and come back over here. This is finally finishing up, which means we'll be able to SSH into our droplet. Now we're going to come down to our terminal here, and we're going to type SSH root at, and then the IP address. We'll type yes, and that should hopefully start SSHing us in. It'll connect and it'll start the configuration. While this is running, we're going to copy this IP, come over to Cloudflare, or whatever your host is. You just need to change the A record for your domain name. So in this case, I have a domain name with an A record, a name of dnout.com, which is the domain name, and I have an IP. I'm going to change this to the new IP, and I'm going to click save. That has a TTL, which is a time to live of 1 minute, which means in about a minute we'll be able to use that to connect to our server. So now in our terminal, the reason why we did that is because now we can set this to our domain name. So I'm going to say my domain name is dnout.com. I do want to store files in the cloud. I want to use DigitalOcean Spaces. For the Spaces name, or the space name, we need to come back over to our droplets file here. We're going to come to the manage section and we're going to go back over to Spaces. We want to copy the name of that space, which was Mastodon-Rails. And then we'll go ahead and we'll hit enter. The space region in my case is still NYC, so I'll hit enter. The endpoint is still nyc3.digitaloceanspaces.com. It is not the same thing as the endpoint that you see up here for the origin endpoint. This is different. So we'll go ahead, we'll leave this, we'll hit enter. Now for the access key, we'll come over to our keys. We'll copy the first key, this is the access key. And then for the secret, we'll copy the second key and then we'll hit enter for that. For allowing access to uploaded files or whatever from your own domain name, type no and hit enter. For the SMTP, this is for your email service. Now, if you want to have an email service, go ahead, set this up. I'm going to skip this part for this tutorial. I'm just going to hit enter a couple times. I'll hit none for this option. For the email address, I'll just leave this as notifications. No, I don't want to send a test email. This will start booting it up, and then afterwards we'll have to do some more configuration. While this is happening, you are going to have to generate a GitHub SSH key. For that, I'll have links in the video description where you can run this command or you can just type this out. This is just so we can generate a GitHub key on the server and then add it to our account in a minute here. It's now asking us to create an admin account. I'm going to leave mine as admin for the username, and I'll enter my email for the email. It's going to give you a one-time password here. Make sure you copy this, otherwise you will never have access to this again. Just making sure you're aware of that. For the email address here, this is for your Let's Encrypt. This is what gives you your HTTPS connection or your SSL certificate. I'm going to type no for this option, and now this should create the certificates for us. At this point, I think we're done with this step. Let's go ahead and let's cd into /home/mastodon and then /live, and this is our source code. So if we type vi dot here and hit F11, you can see this is where our app, our config, etc. is located. So I'm going to type :Q to exit out of here. And now we can go ahead and start the Git setup process. Now this does already have a GitHub repo in it. I'm going to go ahead and do a rm-rf.git. Just remove it. Now I'll do a git init. Now I'll do a git add dot. This will tell me I have to add this as a safe directory. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this and paste it. Now I'm going to do another git add dot, and this will start the process of adding all of these files. So that will take care of that. Now let's go ahead and let's generate our SSH key. So we're going to type this command, SSH keygen-t space ed25519 space -C, and then our email inside of quotes. And now it'll ask us where we want to put this. I'm just going to hit enter. It's going to generate a private and a public key. We want to copy the public key, so we're going to do a cat tilde /.ssh/ and then id whatever .pub. That'll give us our public key. Let's go ahead and let's copy this. Right click. Now let's come over to our SSH keys and let's click new SSH key. You can do this by going over to github.com/settings/ssh, by the way. And then for this, we'll just call this Mastodon-Rails. And then for the key, let's paste in our public key, and then let's add the SSH key. Okay, cool. So that's now added. And let's go ahead and let's come back over here. So now that we've done that, we can do a git commit-m init commit. This should commit, but it needs to have our email and our username. So let's go ahead and let's do the email. Just copy that command, enter our email, and then we'll hit enter. And then for the user.name, I always just put in my own username, and now we're good. Now let's do another git commit command. This time it should actually work. And then once that's done, we need to create a GitHub repo. Come over to github.new, and that'll just take you straight to the new repository page. I'm going to go ahead and call this Mastodon-Rails. And we'll just say this is a self-hosted Mastodon instance built with Rails. Go ahead and click Create Repository. And there you go. Now let's scroll down here, push an existing repository from the command line. Let's come back over here and right-click hit paste anyways, hit enter, type yes. This should go ahead and push up those files for us. Now, while that's all been going on, our Mastodon instance has been starting up. So let's come over here and let's refresh. I'm going to dnout.com, and this takes me to the home page. Now I'm gonna go ahead and sign in. I need to sign in with my email. And now I need to find that really long password it gave me earlier and paste that in. I'm gonna go ahead and click login. And now I can see I'm on the home page. So I'll type hello world, and then I'll click publish. And as soon as I do that, now if I click done, it should show me the feed in a couple seconds. You can see it says it's being prepared, and there we go, it's now done. So now I'm gonna say this is an image post, and I'll come in here and I'll add an attachment, and I'll pray that this works. I'll add the Rails image. We can see the uploading progress bar is working. There's the image. I'll click publish, and there's our images. I can also come into my admin account, edit the profile, and choose a avatar. And for this, I can choose my own profile image. And for the header here, I can choose this Vite image from the Docker tutorial we did the other day. I'll change my name, my display name to Deanin, and my bio to check out my YouTube channel. And now I'll click Save Changes. Now we can come back to Mastodon here, and we can see that my profile picture has been updated, my cover image has been changed, my bio is here, and all of this other stuff. So all of that's now set up, and we have our GitHub repo with the source code. And at this point, if you want to edit the source code locally, you can just type Control-D to exit out of that SSH session, cd into whatever directory you would like. And now we can make dir a Mastodon directory, cd into Mastodon, and then we can do a git clone for this project. And now you have this on your local machine. So let's cd into this directory and run a code dot, and we'll be able to open this up in VS Code. And now you can edit this just like you normally would with your Rails app right here, and everything locally. You just have to push up your changes once you're done, and you'll be good to go. Yeah, that's going to do it for this tutorial. I didn't want to cover more than this because the basic setup is already quite a bit, but of course there's a ton of stuff you can learn with Mastodon, and I highly recommend checking out a bunch of tutorials on it because it does have its own rich ecosystem. This is definitely something that I've wanted to get up and running for a while now, and seeing how quick and easy DigitalOcean made it, that is definitely very nice to see. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.